this mic.
I'll tell you in a second. Hello everyone. Sorry about that delay, and thank you everyone for coming down. This is our first meeting in this year. Also, it's been a while. We haven't had one in 2021. It's all pretty much online. It's all good to see you all face to face. So if you joined us on Facebook, welcome. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please do so. We got a pretty good agenda today. So we got a Thoroughbred Park development, Andrew Clark, and then we got people from Canberra Hospital Planning, thank you, and PCYC people, and then we do have a couple of other items which we will let you know. So we're going to start with the President's videos. I hope the audio works, so just bear with me as we play.
Try that.
Hi, this is Trevor Orford. I'm the President of the Gungahlin Community Council. I'm just going to provide an update for our February 21 meeting on some of the activities the GCC has been up to. The agenda that you will be going through tonight is here. I'll go then provide the update I mentioned. Then we'll get updates on a couple of projects underway in the Gungahlin region, one in Thoroughbred Park, one on a police citizens and youth club in Gungahlin, and the ACT Health Department have asked to provide an update on their Canberra Hospital Master Plan consultation, so we'll also have that coming on today. So on to a couple of things happening in Gungahlin, or Gungahlin related, before some of the specific GCC activities. All of you will remember we had an ACT election late last year, and members of the Legislative Assembly that were re-elected or elected were these five: Alistair Coe, Michael Pedersen, Leanne Cassidy, Suzanne Moore, and Andrew Braddock. But I think it's important to note that Alistair Coe has resigned from his position, and as a result, the ACT process is that there will be a countback and for the selection of his replacement, and the very likely result of that, although they're not confirmed yet, is that James Milligan, the previous Liberal MLA who stood at Yerraby, will be re-elected. We'd like to acknowledge and thank Alistair for his many years of service in the Yerraby region, and look forward to working with James, should he be successful, which should in fact be the case, through the countback process. The other development was, of course, yesterday the ACT government brought down their 2021 budget, and there were a number of big ticket items in there that landed in Gungahlin, and most notably the investments of the schools in Gungahlin, most of which have been pre-announced. So that's the Kenny High School, some design work to expand the Margaret Henry School, and to do some design work for new high school in Taylor. A couple of the commitments that were made prior to the election have been funded. The Gungahlin District Tennis Centre to be constructed at Mamaroo, and a feasibility study around where and how to build a new walk-in health centre in northern Gungahlin. Two things that I found in various snippets. One was that there is a commitment to fund the repair of the Gungahlin Leisure Centre, specifically the 50-metre pool, and that's great to hear. But elsewhere I noticed that the Home of Football project is going to be laid a couple of years. This was to be built at the northern end of Throsby, and commencing the beginning end of this year, but is now being delayed until 2023. Some of the work we've been involved involved at the council since our last meeting back in December was progressing the Celebrate Gungahlin Festival along with the other Celebrate Gungahlin partner organisations. A lot of work on development applications, some concerns around draft variation 364, some focus on the community and recreation facilities, and we've been working very hard to get Gungahlin Smoke Signals, our newsletter out, Gunsmoke, and we hope to have issue 149 out very, very, very soon. So just a little bit more on a couple of these. The first is Celebrate Gungahlin, which will be held not as a single big event because of some of the concerns around COVID, but as a series of pop-up events through the week of the 20th to the 28th of March. And we would strongly encourage everyone to put that into their calendar. There'll be the major days are on Saturday the 20th and on Sunday the 28th. The 20th will be some pop-up events and stalls in the town centre itself. On the 28th there'll be a series of distributed picnics and a bunch of other events through the week. This is some of the artwork that's been commissioned, which is just terrific to promote the event, and you'll see that about. If you are looking to get involved, please search Celebrate Gungahlin and follow the links for that. I did mention that we have a lot of development applications underway, and some of these have already closed and some of these have only just appeared. But I'll just highlight some of the major ones, and really the key here is if you have an interest in development applications and you have concerns about these developments, please do get in touch with us and let us know what you think. I'd just like to flag that there's a development application to build a car park at the northern side of Durban School off Delma View, and we certainly spoke to some residents there about that project. There's been another development application lodged for the very big mixed-use development between Anthony and Rolfen's Kavanagh Street, 560 units and 6 commercial tenancies. The design of the units itself is pretty good, but we certainly have concerns about the fact that they're not very mixed. It's a lot of residential units and not a lot of tenancies for commercial and retail customers. And that's certainly something we flagged in our response to that DA, which went in on Tuesday. The other development that's that I've highlighted here is the Air Towers, now the establishment development. Very large development on the corner of Goside Street and Gungahlin Drive. The developer has come back and asked the decision blocking their amended DA to be reconsidered. They believe they've addressed some of the concerns of the YMCA, and they have highlighted that. So if you have a view about whether the Community Council would oppose that development, please let us know. Certainly our standing position has been that we're opposed to it because of its location to other residences, strong feedback from the community, and the impact it has on other businesses, including the YMCA. There are a couple another minor one was a change to a development along Camilleri Way, which was to include a place of assembly. That's now going to be converted to a hotel, and that DA was closed on the 2nd of February. And there's a new DA that's just come out for 99 dwellings in a mixed-use development at the corner of Camilleri Way and Kate Frey Street. So the key message here is lots going on in the town centre. And one of the challenges of that is that the rules or the precinct code, the design rules around the town centre have become somewhat confused. So the community's been raising issues in the town centre for a very long time, and some of you will have heard all this before, but in late 2016 we raised issues of building height and character, public spaces, and walking, cycling, road transport in the town centre, which led to a process of a town centre planning refresh, which was actually a pretty good engagement. But unfortunately, when it came to including some of the feedback from that engagement in a revision to the precinct code, which were the rules around height buildings and so on in the town centre, as part of what's called a draft variation to the territory plan, in this case draft variation number 364, only some of those concerns were captured, and the revisions proposed added more concerns. And we provided a submission, met with planners, spoke with the planning minister, we've spoken to our Euroby MLAs. And so we're waiting for that process to progress, and when the draft variation was announced on the 23rd of August 2019, it had interim effect, which meant designers and developers had to comply with it. But for the legislation also means that if it hasn't moved from draft to completed, after 1 year, then we return to the old precinct code. So that's what's happened now, of course, because we're well past 1 year. And it's very unclear when and how things are going to get resolved. We've been advised that the draft variation report has been considered by government and referred to the standing committee, and we have some very serious concerns that something that should be guiding the development of the town centre over sort of 5 to 10 years is flip-flopping with rules as frequently as 1 year. So we continue to pursue that with the Environment Planning and Sustainable Development Directorate, and perhaps we may have to reach out to the Planning Minister again. The other piece of work EPSDD are engaged with is a needs assessment for community and recreation facilities in Gungahlin. They've commissioned a company to do a desktop analysis followed by some community engagement. It's unclear exactly what form that community engagement consultation will take, although we continue to press for that. And this will inform many things, but particularly the Casey community sites opposite the Casey Centre. We have been advised that it's a very broad project, so all of these things that are on this slide are potentially in scope. So that includes library, schools, childhood education, community hubs, government healthcare, aged care, sport and recreation facilities, community arts, everything. So it's good that it's broad, but we yet to see the detail of what that analysis is and how the community and community groups will have a say on that. So we're keeping track on that. So that hopefully is an update on the major things that we're involved with, and I'll leave you to get back to the rest of the meeting live. Thanks very much.
That was from Peter Alfred. He's our president for Gungahlin Community Council. For those who are watching and then having issues with the audio for the video that we played, you don't need to worry. We will upload that video separately on Facebook. Watch out that space. So that should be good. I'd also like to thanks my team for being here today. So we got Sherry and we got Darren and Kevin today. And also we welcome Andrew Braddock as an MLA for the first time to the GCC. So thank you. And then we do have some ex-colleagues. So thanks David and others for coming down. So we're going to continue to the next presentation. If you're wondering who I am or if you haven't know about me, I'm Henley Samuel. I'm the Vice President for Gungahlin Community Council. So we would like to invite the next presentation for Thoroughbred Park Development. I would like to invite Andrew Clark, CEO for Canberra Racing Club. Andrew, that's the mic for you. So you might want to put it in the pocket.
Will that be?
Yeah, that'll be good.
Okay. While our presentations are being loaded there, I'd just like to thank you all for having us along tonight and welcome. I look forward to sharing this exciting plans that we have for you with respect to Thoroughbred Park. Something went wrong. That's not a good start for the development, is it? But we're back on board. You'll move through? Okay. I thought it was a prudent place to start is to give you some background to our club. Canberra Racing Club, we've been at the... Sorry, I'm conscious of being in the middle there. Canberra Racing Club's been at our current site at Thoroughbred Park since the early 1960s. Previously, the racecourse in Canberra, for those of you who are unaware, is actually now underwater. It's where Lake Burley Griffin is now, is their old Acton racecourse. So we moved to our current site on the corner of Randwick and Flemington Road in early 1962. We currently run 25 race meetings a year, and the industry across Canberra actually employs 440 Canberrans and generates $54 million in economic activity. So we're a large employer and a large driver of economic activity within the territory. Prior to COVID as well, we would run up to 120 event days throughout the year, and we had visions to grow that number. Obviously, COVID threw a bit of a spanner in those weeks because those events would range from as little as 20 people to upwards of 10,000 people. We're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel. We've got our Canberra Carnival coming up in early March, whereby we'll have 2,000 people back on track on Black Opal Day and Canberra Cup Days, which once again is our largest crowd. And it's our opportunity to give back to the community that supported us. We're looking at this development proposal that we've looked at for quite a few years in terms of internally within the club as we look towards our future. Tonight I'll be presenting, as will Hope from Planet. We'll be introducing her shortly, and she'll go through the whole process of where we've looked at as well. Essentially, Thoroughbred Park is a large site, 66 hectares of land. A lot of it is underutilised areas of land that we feel that we can better utilise for the community, but also for our club's future. We're looking to create a vibrant precinct that provides for our own future, but also gives back to the community and makes better use of that land. If we work through it, there's four main reasons why we're looking to develop the precinct. Firstly, and most importantly for our club, is to determine our financial sustainability in the future. It is absolutely essential that we do vary and diversify our revenue stream so we are secure into the long term. As I mentioned, we have full-time equivalent employees for the industry of 440 Canberrans. We take that responsibility very seriously, and we're looking to grow the organisation, grow the club, so those 440 people have an income that can support their families. It's also vital that we enhance the race day experience for our patrons, visitors and the general community. As I mentioned, we have 25 race meetings, which can range in numbers from 1,000 in the middle of winter on a cold, wet Friday afternoon, up until prior to COVID, we would range to about 8,000 people on Black Opal Day. So it's important that we provide them an appropriate race day experience. Similar as the function centre, it's important that we give back to the community and provide our space to support the community and allow them to undertake the many activities they do on site. To give you an idea about the need to rejuvenate the facilities as well, as I mentioned, we've been on the current site since 1962. The last major renovation was most likely done when the Queen visited in 1988 and opened her own grandstand. So as you can see from that, it is time that we needed to invest in our facilities and renew them. As I mentioned as well, we're looking to create a mixed-use racing, residential and commercial precinct that's actually vibrant and complements what we're trying to do on site, and actually complements and contributes to the community more broadly. And the last dot point is equine and participant welfare is absolutely essential to everything we do. We want our horses to be looked after, we want our people to be looked after. A lot of those stables were built in those early 60s, and as you'll see through our pictures that we have shortly, we're looking at a new location for those stables, which means new facilities for the horses, which would improve the equine welfare outcomes. And similarly, patrons and participants come along with that. So there's the vision of that site. And I'll read this. Thoroughbred Park will be developed to provide a financially sustainable thoroughbred racing industry in the ACT, and on a site that is recognised as a modern racing and entertainment precinct with the capacity to provide for the expansion of growth of thoroughbred racing in the ACT. The key takeouts I take from that is financial sustainability, and also looking at a racing and entertainment precinct. We're looking at the broader precinct that the Thoroughbred Park offers and where it sits within respect for the community. We're looking to obviously grow our sport and expand that to look after the livelihoods of those 440 Canberrans. What we're doing isn't unusual for a racing club. What we're doing is being done around the country. We've got some examples coming up for you here. Brisbane's Eagle Farm Racing Club is similar to us. They're looking to have moved their stable facilities into the centre of the course, and has an adjoining residential development that they've investigated in. That's probably happened in the last 5 years, and they're really seeing the fruits of that labour now as it's come back online. The development's progressed, and those stables are operational within the centre of the racecourse. Similarly, Moonee Valley on our next slide. Moonee Valley are looking at, in Melbourne, are looking at a whole renovation. That's in the very early stages. They're looking to change the structure of their track and invest in their facilities. We're not looking to change this track. We're just looking to make better use of our current land mass and to invest in our facilities. So what we're doing isn't unique. We're looking to build on the experience and the expertise that's been generated in areas such as Moonee Valley, such as Eagle Farm, to grow ourselves in the future as well. That's our site in a broad context. The next slide will show in greater detail, but there's, at the moment, we're NUZ1 zoning across the whole site, and we're looking to change that into 2 separate zones. We feel that remaining NUZ1 section, we can safely accommodate what we currently do on site within that area. So that shows you what we feel is our underutilised section of land. The CZ5 is our mixed-use commercial, short stay accommodation, non-retail commercial use, and that's on the Randwick and Flemington Road intersection. Obviously, that's very close to the current light rail stop. There's 2 light rail stops, but that's the closest to our site, and we're looking to really generate that area first and make that into the vibrant area and give back to the community. Similarly, Z5 is on the lower section of the track, and that covers where the stables currently are now, up into and across some of our current training facilities. And that's where we're looking at residential and the like across that area there. So at present, we encompass all that land from down to the highway, down to the Pony Club and up to Randwick Road. So there is a similar area of land that we currently use, and we feel we can make better use of that. And part of that is moving into the centre of the field. The next slide. A picture says 1,000 words, and this really describes exactly what we're proposing. I'm very keen to hear feedback, hear community views. We have spoken to our members about this already, but we want to hear what the broader community's got to say as well. As it shows there, the area 1B is those stable facilities. Where they currently are now is part 3 of that map. So moving the inside, one of the great challenges for racecourses throughout the world really is what to do with the inside space. The actual racecourse itself is 1,800 metres circumference, so it takes a similar area of land for the horses to travel around the track. We feel that if we move that stabling into the centre, similar to what Eagle Farm's done, it does boost the equine welfare, the security outcomes for the horses, but it also provides a better use of the land because it frees up 3 and 4 for those residential developments that we've talked about. Area 2, as I mentioned, is the Randwick and Flemington Road areas, and that's the first piece of land that we're looking at for development opportunities. And it's our commercial accommodation mixed-use precinct. There is 2 light rail stops close to us, and that's one near point 2, and the other is near the residential development further down. In terms of our current facilities, 1A is the area that we're looking to renovate and rejuvenate, and that gives you a broader context when you look at a map like that as to how we feel we can make better use of the site more generally. I might hand over to Hope, and Hope can take you through the process that we're going through, and then feel free to ask any questions you may have.
And just do a bit of a swap. G'day everyone, I'm Hope Watson. I'm from Planet Strategic, so obviously we're working with the club and a team of consultants on this project. I'm going to talk a bit more about the process that we're going through for the plan variation and a bit about where we're up to with the consultation, things like that. So obviously we've begun considering what future redevelopment of this site might look like. A consultant's been engaged to do a functional design and a business case, and we're now looking at progressing into the planning process. for the site, and that they've engaged a team to do that. So this one looks at the overview. So varying the territory plan and the process for redevelopment is a long process, and we're only early on in that scheme of things. So obviously the design brief and business case have been undertaken in 2018 and 19. Now we're at the stage of starting the planning work and looking at the investigations on the site for a potential rezoning of the site that Andrew showed on the previous slide. So we're currently, what we've done is spoken to the ACT government and got a scoping report that details all the considerations that need to be undertaken as part of a rezoning project. So the site investigation planning report will address those requirements, and I'll go into that in a bit more. And that's where we're at the moment. Once the planning report and the investigations are done, the planning report gets submitted to the ACT Government Territory Plan team. It gets circulated within the ACT Government. They comment on that, and it kind of goes through a bit of an iterative process before we get to the stage where it gets finally submitted, and then the ACT Government goes through a plan variation process, drafting the plan variation changes to the precinct code, and before the plan gets amended. So we're currently at the start of the consultation process and the planning process. The plan variation will take some time, probably 2 to 3 years, and before any development will occur on the site. And obviously prior to development, that still has to go through estate development, DA processes for any buildings that might occur. So there's a long way to go before development will occur on the site.
One thing I might add as well, it's not like we're going to come out and do all the development once. It will be a staged process throughout that 10 to 12 years as we move through the facility. Horse welfare is important to us. Creating new facilities is important, so that's where we move through and do sections at a time, so it won't be all in at once. Yeah, so I guess today is kind of the commencement of the consultation process for the plan variation, drafting the plan variation. So the key thing is that we don't really have all the answers yet. We're here to seek the community's views, the community council, the broader public, find out what questions you have, and that we can cover those issues within the planning studies and the investigations that are being undertaken. Moving on. So a number of investigations are going to occur over the land, covering a broad range of issues, looking at the environment, the site, the servicing, and the needs all the things that need to be met to support a plan variation. To ensure the site's suitable. And within the planning report, there'll be a lot of justifications over how the site can meet the requirements for future rezoning. The next one, so strategic policy context. So the club's pursuing this proposal because it does meet a number of strategic policies within the ACT government framework, and that's one of the key reasons to pursue this, as well as providing a better club and facilities and utilising the land better on the site. So obviously it's the site provides an opportunity for really efficient land use with an infill development along a major transport route that's close to public transport, and that's addressed in a number of the strategic planning policies. So all these policies will be considered in detail in the planning study, and which we're just at the start of. A whole range of strategies. I'm sure many of you are familiar with those and the requirements of the ACT around those. So we'll get into those in the planning study. And also the ACT government's obviously undertaking a planning review project at the moment. And so the outcomes of that will also be relevant to this site and the future planning of this site.
We'll jump to the next one. Yep, so the planning study will also consider the environment and sustainability objectives. So there are things the club and the project will look at developing as we go along. These are some of the key things that we'll be considering. So things like water sensitive urban design, permeability and landscaped areas within the site, deep root planting zones, active travel and transport, so close to the light rail, energy efficiency, waste management, climate appropriate buildings. So they're all things we'll be thinking about whether they can be developed further in the planning for the site in the future. Next steps. So yeah, as I said, we're starting our consultation as part of this meeting. We'll also be meeting with the North Canberra Community Council. We'll be holding drop-in sessions at Thoroughbred Park, and we'll probably also be doing some online sessions. We'll have information up on the club's website so that there'll be lots of places where people can find out about the project. Yeah, we're really keen to hear comments on the project and the things that we're considering in the planning study. So once we go through the planning process and the consultation, the site investigations will be finalised in the next few months. We'll come back to the community, to this meeting, we'll have some other community sessions where we can provide feedback on the work that we've done and tell you all how we've addressed the issues that have been raised in the consultation. Yeah, and then once we've gone through that process, we'll submit the planning study to the ACT government to review and sort of pursue the plan variation process. Yeah, so we're very early in the project stages, and we're here to find out what issues you have and what questions you have about the project and how we can address those. I think the next one, yep, questions. So hopefully that's given you a bit of a run through of the project.
Kevin, who we met earlier tonight.
You might just want to repeat the question so that the people watching online can hear.
Sure.
With the microphones.
Oh yeah, sure. So if we have any questions, Kevin, is it? Yep, you've got a question?
My question is really not addressed so much to you guys, but more to Andrew. This is meant to be a consultation, but it's telling us what's going to happen. It's not consulting on what's going to happen on the land, and that's not your fault. That's the fault of the way in which the planning system works. You know, we don't get a say in whether it should be residential or maybe it might be motor racing course or something. The Canberra community gets these things as fait accompli, and then we're meant to comment on the things that we may or may not like. But we don't get a chance to say, well, no, we don't want that. We want Fishwick markets or something like that. So this is really directed to the MLAs as the whole planning process. It's got to be fixed. This is not the right way to do things, and it's not your fault. It's the way in which we have our planning thing. So it's really more a comment on what's going on as opposed to a question.
It's difficult for me to comment on the planning process.
As I mentioned, they are doing a review of the ACT planning process, so there may be some outcomes that come from that, such as changes to how the system works, but that's yet to be seen. But I mean, this is a project where we are proposing a variation to the territory plan and to the broad planning principles within the plan. So in that sense, while the club and we have an idea of what we'd like to, of the aspirations we have, we do want to listen to the public's aspirations as well, and we can consider those. So there's a lot of things that we have to work through in the planning study to look at the justifications for the zoning, what type of development and uses would best fit on the site. So they're things that we do want to consider.
Yeah, so I definitely want to get feedback, so if there is concerns.
The other question is, you're going to make, the club is going to get quite a deal of money out of this. What are you going to do with it? Nowhere in that thing there did I see anything as to, you're going to get some extra funds, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to say that you're going to use them for what?
Okay, so part of that is those new stables in the centre to improve horse welfare. It's the investment in our facilities to improve the customer experience and the people having functions, not only race day but also functions, and as well as to ensure our long-term sustainability. Our revenue sources are under significant pressures, as always, and so we're looking to diversify revenue so we do have ongoing and long-term revenue streams away from more traditional revenue streams the club has relied on for probably the last 30 to 40 years.
So you'll be investing in other things?
Correct. Looking to invest the money wisely so there's recurring revenue to support the 440 employees and their pursuit of an income.
We got a question from Facebook.
Sure.
The question was, have you spoken with or working with the proponents of the Canberra proposal? I'm assuming that's the...
Yeah, so the Canberra winery site is just adjacent to the site which fronts Federal Highway. So just this site down here. So as part of the consultation, we'll be talking to all the key stakeholders involved. So that's all our neighbours. We'll be talking, having meetings with them, setting up meetings. Obviously, Canberra is a key link, transport link. So definitely we'll need to integrate planning on our site with that site as well.
We've had one meeting with them already, and just some of the ways we're trying to work in with the precinct, Hope indicated where Canberra sits. Those two dams along 1D borders the precinct, and water storage is incredibly important for our club. Grass tracks take up a lot of water, and as the horses and the general maintenance of all our facilities. So we want to harvest water, but also put in a strategic location so it builds on the greater precinct and fits in with what Canberra are trying to do to provide appropriate vista for their development as well. So that they've been strategically placed to working with the precinct as a whole, but we are looking to discuss that further with Canberra and all the other partners over the coming months.
There's a second part to the question. Do you have to comply with any NCA requirements?
So there isn't specific requirements from the NCA over this land. This site was considered within the study area for the City and Gateway work that the NCA's done. So we will talk to that within the planning study, but there's no specific requirements over this land.
Given our side of Sullivan's Creek that we fall on, Canberra and Meewalk are on the
So
other side of the creek.
we're just outside of that area.
So is there a requirement or not?
Sorry?
That answer was a little bit unclear. So is there something on the NCA stuff or not?
There's no specific requirements for approvals on our land from the NCA. So the land closer to the highway is subject to those requirements, to special requirements, but not this site.
The border is Sullivan's Creek largely, and we fall on the right side of the creek. Canberra was previously club land that we sold to the Auburn Group many years ago.
There's another question, I don't know what this is. Have you looked at the Great Place Guide produced by the City Renewal as a model to guide a place-making strategy? It's very specific.
Sorry?
Have you looked at the Great Place Guide produced by the City Renewal as a model to guide a place-making strategy?
So not yet. And if there's relevant things that we consider. So we've obviously got a list of policies and plans that we have to consider from the ACT government, and anything that's relevant to the site and to planning we can consider.
Where's your parking?
Parking?
No, so parking, there's two facilities. So the number of attendees on a race day varies significantly, as you'd imagine. So area 1A would look to have a multi-use car park, not multi-storey rather, car park, and that would cater for all bar probably 3 of our race days per annum. And there's an overflow in the centre for 1C for your Black Opals, your Canberra Cups, your Melbourne Cups.
So that'd be like demolish existing grandstand facility, build a new facility at Lane? Is that what
No, it's renovating, so it's renovating and rejuvenating rather than demolishing. So there would be a multi-storey car park. Would be one of the new areas that we'd have at the back of the grandstand.
I guess one of the key things to say is that this is a concept proposal that's been developed for the purposes of planning for the rezoning. So this is a concept that is kind of the highest and best use for the site. It's not a development plan for what would be developed on the site in future. So this is kind of an idea of what could happen at the site and what the club would like to see, but the planning is subject to future, if the rezoning goes ahead, actual development, probably estate development, and then developments of specific buildings on the site. So when it comes to parking and traffic and things like that, they'll be addressed within those, but we do have to consider that on a broader scale as part of the planning for the plan variation.
if this goes ahead as you dream, will you then seek to no longer have grants from the government to support your club?
No, that's part of our ongoing revenue streams, and that's part of a long-term arrangement under the wagering funding model of how racing is generally funded throughout Australia. So it would be our desire to keep that into the future. Most, all bar ourselves in Tasmania, directly funded under the TAB arrangement. When the ACT government sold the local TAB, we lobbied to move on to a TAB funding arrangement, and they actively decided to hold us within government funding. So it is that long-term wagering relationship.
We've got a question for Kevin.
Is there any reason why you hold the race days on Friday?
Once again, it's to look to maximise revenue that we have through off-course wagering. We balance that by a number of Sundays. Our feature race meetings are on Sundays in the public holiday in about a month's time. As well, we're looking at new race days next year to give that balance towards people being able to come, and also our need to look after our revenue streams.
Gary.
So did you consider going somewhere else? It might have been commercially better for you to go to a cheaper area of land. This is pretty prime land. Presumably you'd be able to get somehow or other do a deal that you'd get maybe more money and be able to become more financially viable if you went to Royale or something like that.
We have considered all options and continue to canvass all options. This is the main strategic option at the moment, but we've obviously got to keep in mind all of our different opportunities that may present. It's the desire of our board that we stay where we are, and similarly it's the desire of our membership base that the club remains where they are. We want to look at ourselves as part of the broader precinct and what can be an entertainment precinct within that area, and complement what Epic are doing and what we're doing and what we can add into the light rail side.
And I guess in the context of the ACT, there's not really sites available on this scale.
Racecourse is a pretty difficult area to run race meeting or something, I can assure you of that.
Difficult question, but I have to ask it.
Go for it.
We've had proposals that have obviously come before the council and before the community. They won't be able to let me anyway. So. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We've obviously had situations before where we've had the argument, I guess you could say, with the golf course, where the golf course said, I have a golf course, but I'm not making enough money from a golf course in order to fund my activities. And the community didn't accept that argument from the golf course. Essentially they were saying, you have a golf course, you knew it was a golf course, that's your business model. If you can't make that business model work, why do we have to change the variations on that particular site when it was sold to you to be used for that purpose?
Yep.
And I guess we come across this as a community council when we look at residential lots that could have been sold as businesses initially, but then later on down the track they've changed that variation in order to make their apartments. The question is that it was first purchased for that particular proposal. The argument, I think, needs to be tested as to whether or not you are financially viable to exist as a racecourse before the argument could be made that I have to do this in order to support the 400 and something employees. I guess what I'm saying is that it's a statement I don't know what facts have been brought in and added to say that I need to do this in order to remain viable.
So our funding model here in the ACT is vastly different to competing funding models across the border. You might have seen some media about point of consumption tax, for example, in the lead up to the last election. So the funding models in New South Wales are far more generous, shall we say, than what we currently receive here. As well, we're not looking to basically make all this money for our own good. We're also looking to make better use of the land for the community and create a precinct that is vibrant and actually deliver something back to the community, not only through the racing side of things, but also our facilities for functions, but also provides the opportunity for light rail to meet its potential. So it's not like we're looking to simply put all the funds we generate back into and make us financially operational. It's merely to make us competitive with our neighbours across the border, but also look to make better use of the site. When we were originally there in 1962, revenue from racing was a very different beast. You mentioned 5-day races. That's when the tab was first coming into being, and the way racing was modelled was very different to the way racing's modelled being 2021.
Is any financial evidence being handed over to the ACT government to make that case?
We've had many discussions with the ACT government about funding and our future.
Any questions further
There's a question.
online? We'll take one more.
It's very likely that the NCA will have a say about any development that fronts the Barton Highway because it's defined by the NCA as a national road, which will generally not provide frontage access to the development, except where such access will meet appropriate design standards and road safety needs.
So there'll be a number of studies to look at that. We don't actually front the Barton Highway either. There's an area just along...
Yeah, so within 200 metres of the approach routes to the National Capital that the NCA has a say.
That area along there is not owned by us. Ourselves, it's owned by the Pony Club, Canberra Pony Club, and they operate out of that facility. And they might...
But we will be talking to the NCA regardless.
Yeah, there's obviously somebody that's watching that fairly carefully from the NCA perspective. There's been a few questions that are specifically addressing that. So.
Correct. And as Hope mentioned, we're in the very early stage and we're looking to meet with all the relevant bodies to gain feedback and direction.
The horse stables are quite large as they are in 3. Moving them from 3 to 1B looks like you're compressing that quite substantially. And what was the argument for the horses' welfare by moving them into a smaller space?
So it's not actually a smaller space. The size of the stables will be similar. They're as a lot of developments happen across Canberra, they're added onto as you go, and you've got to be approached by the end of the time. So there's a much more planned approach as to increase the number of stables. In terms of welfare, a lot of the stables were built in the early 60s and they've been renovated as we go. And once again, 1B would be pure new facilities for the horses made up to modern standard with modern facilities. The equine science that we have now compared to 1960 is vastly different. And so it's more a planned approach. So it actually increases the number and doesn't hinder on the size. It's just a better approach to the way it's delivered.
You said safety though, is it something wrong?
Yeah, so safety, at the moment, we're right on the access to the road. So when a horse travels to work in the morning, our main entrance is an area whereby there's a gate, but horses do have to cross that gate and interact with vehicles. It's not any which way an appropriate measure. And so in 1B, they've got direct access to the track for immediate workings, and they're taken away from vehicles as well. There's no people coming and going throughout the day.
I think I'm concerned of time, so we ran out of time unfortunately, but we will send, if you have any questions or people watching it online, I'll stand next to you so people can... If you're watching online, if you have more questions, just send it through, comment on Facebook, we'll consolidate and probably flick it to you guys.
Happy to share my details. I'll be around to the end of tonight, so if you have any further questions, please feel free to speak to me after the remaining presentations.
Yeah, please don't send your comments.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
There you go.
momentarily.
So next item we got is from Canberra Hospital Master Plan, and Liz Loper, Executive Group Manager. She's going to do a presentation for us tonight. I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you. Might just hold it. I think I don't trust myself to clip it on. All anybody will hear is my necklace jangling. So thank you very much. My name is Liz Loper, as it states up on the presentation, and I'm from the infrastructure area of ACT Health. And I'm here to talk about the Canberra Hospital Master Plan. So we're just starting consultation on our master planning process, and wanted to come and let you know what we're doing, have a chat with you and take any comments from you. Do you want to operate I might get Phil. So Phil from my team is here, and also Harley. I'll get Phil to operate for me. Thanks, Phil. So just as an introduction, the ACT government is committed to delivering healthcare that put patients and their families first, and to providing the right facilities to meet the future health needs of a growing ACT. We all know that we're in a stage of population growth, and our health facilities need to keep up with that from a service point of view, but also from a facility point of view. So as the population continues to grow, we need to have a look at the Canberra Hospital campus and the buildings on there, and look at how they can cater for future growth and also for current, modern healthcare delivery. So the master plan will explore future development options for our largest and busiest hospital. And when we were doing a bit of research before we started this project, we were looking at how many people a day go to the Canberra Hospital, and it's up to 3,000 people a day, and some days more, between staff, patients and visitors who access our Canberra Hospital campus every day. So that's a very busy area, and of course it's 24 hours a day as well. Thanks, Phil. So I love this because if you look at it sideways, it looks like a map of Australia. So the Canberra Hospital Master Plan is being developed. We're looking at a development timeline of 20 years for the master plan. So we're looking at, over the next 20 years, what are we going to need on our hospital campus and how are we going to deliver it? And so we want to talk to you about what's important to you about the hospital campus, and the types of public spaces and visitor amenities you want in the future, as well as, building essential services. We think about this campus and how it operates. When you arrive, you're having a procedure done, how you find a car park, how you find where you're getting to, and how that adds to, the health outcomes of everybody who's accessing the campus. Thanks, Phil. So as I said, over the next 20 years, and we're really looking through the master plan to look at how the campus can be welcoming and usable for all patients and staff in the future, and how we can support, as I said, the growing population. Thanks, Phil. So we're not starting from scratch. We've been doing a lot of work to start informing the master plan. We've looked at what services exist. The Canberra Hospital was first planned to be on its site in 1955, and I think it opened in the mid-70s. But of course, Canberra Hospital was the main hospital there on the shore of the lake at the time. But we've been doing a lot of studies into what services are needed on the campus, what functions are needed, but also what's under the ground. So all our electrical and water and pumps and all of those things. So we've been doing all those studies. We're progressing territory-wide health service planning. So our service planning area of ACT Health has been looking at what across the territory, from a territory-wide perspective, what are the services that we'll need in the future, how many beds, what demand is looking like from a population point of view, and where they need to be. We've looked at all the other consultations and feedback that we get through ACT Health. There's always lots of consultations happening with things being built on the hospital campus, so we've looked into all of them. And there's a clinical services plan also being done for the hospital, looking at what services will be delivered there in the future. Thanks, Phil. So what we've heard so far, I'll start down here with vehicle parking because it's the number one thing everybody raises, and we know that through the master plan we have to solve parking. We know we have to do something about it. So we know vehicle parking is difficult, and it's not just about frustrations with finding a park, it's about that adding to what could be very often a stressful experience going to a hospital. So if you're going in for a procedure, the last thing you want to do is be stressing about where to find a car park. So we know that, and we've heard it, and we know that the master plan needs to address it. Since I'm down the bottom, building access, so finding, the way between buildings. The hospital's on a slope, so quite often what's the ground level of one building is level 2 of another building. That can be very difficult. And I think that really relates to wayfinding up the top. Once you find a car park, finding where to go on the hospital campus can be very difficult. I work at ACT Health, but even I get lost sometimes finding my way to my meetings on the hospital campus. We've heard about green space. So the hospital at the moment doesn't have a lot of green space, or a lot of any space really where you can just go and decompress, I guess. So that's really important for our workforce who are dealing with, stressful situations every day, but also really important for patients and visitors and long-term patients of the hospital. Where can you go and sit outside? Where can you have a bit of green space to just think, decompress, have a nice experience? So we've heard that, and we know that that's something that we have to look at. Accessibility options. We've had a lot of conversations about disability access and, how difficult it is for people, on crutches, in a wheelchair, on a walker, people who aren't, people who are visiting the hospital or accessing the hospital who find it very difficult to get from the car park down to where they need to be. So we know we've got to do things, better there as well from a master plan perspective. And finally, sustainability. The Canberra Hospital campus is the biggest emitter of carbon, or one of the biggest emitters of carbon in the territory. And so we know, again, the master plan needs to address sustainability. We need to be looking at how our hospital not only becomes less of an emitter of carbon, but how it can contribute to the environmental sustainability of the territory. So that we know we need to look at that too, and how we can be using our hospital to to help the environmental cause rather than, I guess, take away from it. So that's what we've heard so far. So they're the things that we know that we need to address. Also happy to hear about those things from you, and anything else that you want to talk about or that you think about our hospital campus. Thanks, Phil. So we're just like the Thoroughbred Park guys. We're just on the start of our community consultation. So we're talking and listening to the community, and we're talking and listening to stakeholders. We're going out and we're meeting a lot of peak bodies and a lot of people to talk to them about the hospital campus. We're talking to our clinicians over at Canberra Health Services about their experience of working and delivering health services in the hospital. And after this, we'll be looking at master plan options. We'll be generating options for the master plan, and then we'll be coming back out to consult on those options before we go back to government. So really, we want to hear about your experiences at, on the hospital campus, your ideas, your concerns, any ideas that you have. Now is the time to share them. Thanks, Phil. As I said, the master plan will look at environmental sustainability. It will look at how the campus can contribute to the health and wellbeing of patients and staff. It'll look at how the campus can help adapt to advances in healthcare technology. And the other one, this last one here, is important. How can our hospital campus be part or continue to be part of our community? So instead of being an inward-looking hospital that, does its thing every day, how can it be more outward-looking, and how can it be part of the community rather than just, focused on its own thing? So we'll be talking to the school that's across the road from the hospital. There's a childcare centre on site. We'll be talking about how the better connections can be made between the community and what happens on the hospital campus. We're interested in hearing your views about car parking and public transport. There's a lot of work going on at the moment about where the bus stops are on the campus. Public safety in and around the hospital, how you feel when you walk around the hospital, how you feel about getting to the car park at night, all those things. We want to hear about the other amenities on the site, about getting a coffee while you're waiting for your loved one who's in surgery, or, you know, if you're there. I know one of my team members was recently in the hospital with her baby, and she said, after 7:30 at night I can't get anything to eat. You know, so we want to look at that too. It's a 24-hour operation, so we'll be looking at what the retail offerings are on site for patients and visitors and staff. And we want to hear about what you think about green space and any other ways you think we can improve the experience on campus for patients and visitors and our workforce. And anything else really that you want to contribute. So the Canberra Hospital expansion project is underway, which is the new critical care building. So that is underway at the moment. It goes to development application in March, I think. My major projects Canberra colleagues are working on that. That is a new expanded emergency department and ICU and surgical building. And so that is underway now, and this master plan will look at how you know, the campus around that develops over the coming years. Thanks, Phil. I'll get this distributed, and we've got some flyers here too that Harley has about how you can have your say. We're doing some pop-ups, which are on the next slide, so we'll be in shopping centres. We're obviously doing community council meetings and meeting other peak groups. The Your Say website, which is the main way that you can have your say on ACT government initiatives, has a master plan page. It's a tongue twister, up and running at the moment, so you can hop on there and have your say on that as well. Or you can send us an email to Canberra Hospital Masterplan at act.gov.au. And as I said before, following this initial phase of consultation, we'll be back with options for people to see how feedback has been incorporated and what we think the hospital might look like over the next 20 years. They're not struck through because we cancelled them. We've already done them. So the remaining pop-ups in our shopping centres are coming up, so we can distribute these as well. But if you're around the shops at that time, pop in and say hello and have a chance to give your feedback. So we're at Gungahlin Marketplace on the 12th of February. What's today? The 10th, so Saturday. Friday morning. Yep. Thanks, Phil. So just on the timeline, we're aiming at the moment to do this first stage of consultation and then come back out for options. We've committed to government to going back in mid-2021 with some options for their consideration, and then it will be about implementing the master plan. We know that the buildings on the Canberra Hospital site are ageing and some of them will need replacing, so we'll have an implementation plan that will be 5 years, 10 years and then 10 plus years, and we'll be costing those as well, so that we'll be able to tell government how much it will cost to implement the master plan. So that's it from me, I think, isn't it, Phil? Is that the last slide? Big thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
This is reminiscent of the previous one. It's interesting that planning tends to be in these little chunks. Like you're going to do a hospital plan, got another one over here that we're going to do something on aged care, got another one over here that we're going to do something over here. Is there any consideration of thinking of health as a system that everything should be integrated so that we actually don't have to go to your lovely hospital?
Yeah, and I think, look, that's one of the things that I should probably mention as part of the presentation too. So there is a territory-wide health services plan being developed at the moment by my colleagues in our service planning area, and they'll be doing some consultation on that, and that's looking at the whole territory and population growth and where it all needs to be. one of the things we're looking at in the Canberra Hospital Master Plan is what we can move off the campus and move into, you know, more community settings. Because you're right, if car parking is an issue and traffic is an issue, then what can we do to have people stopping coming onto the campus?
Good evening, members and guests, and thank you for joining us at East Lake Gungahlin.
It's the meat raffle.
Just letting you know that over 15 minutes' time at 8 p.m, our bistro will be closing. So if you're hungry or would like to try something from our menu, please make your way to the bistro to make your order. Thank you.
If anybody wants to go get a chicken schnitzel, I'm not going to be offended. Oh dear, I thought I was going to have to compete with the meat raffle. So it is about what we can deliver in community settings, rather than bringing people onto the hospital campus. But I also understand it's what's that preventative health initiative, to stop people getting sick and needing to access hospitals too. And I know that there is some preventative health initiatives that other areas of the Directorate have been working on. But I do understand what you're saying, because the Canberra Hospital Master Plan will link with, the planning for the new walk-in centre at Gungahlin and what's delivered there, and then the planning for a new Northside Hospital, which we're just starting, and they're all interlinked.
When was the last master plan done?
I do not know the answer to that question.
All right. I was just wondering, do you think this is too late? I know it's better to start, but we should have started this like 7, 10 years.
Yeah, it's interesting because I get the question about the master plan of all the time about, shouldn't you have done the master plan earlier? And I think it's a good time to be doing a master plan. A master plan should be done right at the beginning and then rolled out. But the age of the buildings on the campus is such that we will be needing to do a redevelopment over the next 20 years. So it's a good time to be doing the master planning now to make sure that they're rolled out, in a sequence and under a planning umbrella. There have been, there's always works going on at the hospital. It's constant because it's responding to demand, and, we've got a growing population. So this master plan will be good to make sure that the next 20 years of development is done under, an umbrella of a master plan.
It feels as if it's a bits are here, bits are bits, and nothing's connected. The Centennial Hospital, there's no car parking near there.
Yeah.
It is just ridiculous parking in the street. You've got the pop-up hospital, what's happening over there? Are you going to take over some of the land? Where is the overall? Plus you've got the light rail. Where's that going to fit in? It's just happening here, there and everywhere. There's no accommodation. How are you going to get from this new part that's being built to the other part? Is there a walkway? Is there? I guess that's part of the plan.
Yeah, it is, and I guess that's part of bringing the master plan in, is to bring all of those things together on the campus and say, this is how these things connect. And looking at car parking, for example, there's a few car parking options about where you build the car parking, but I agree with you about women's and children's. You get dropped off there, you're in labour, and your husband says, okay, I'm going to go up and park my car, and you're there and you're like, how long is it going to take him to get back? I've been in that situation. I've also been in that situation where I got a parking ticket, but I was like, I was having a baby. But look, I understand, and that's what we're trying to bring together with the master plan for the campus, is to bring that logic to how things are all going to fit together, so that when redevelopment happens too, because there will be some moments of short-term pain, I think, as you redevelop, so that everybody can see what the end, goal is. There's some work happening on Hospital Road at the moment, which is quite inconvenient, and I think a master plan will help everybody understand what the end goal is. So that's what we're trying to do, bring that together. And yes, I know we need to put parking down that women's and children's end.
They don't actually. You can park in that street almost all day, and you have to have all day in the street. Not obviously the school though.
Yeah. Just be careful, there's no one from Access Canberra here. Yeah, but no, I know it is difficult down that end, and that's one of the things we're looking at, is getting some parking down there. Yeah. Yep.
From my perspective, I think that it's great to have investment in the existing hospitals, but sometimes with the growth statistics that we're talking about, when does it get to a point where there just simply isn't enough money that you can invest in the existing facilities, and you have to look at building a new facility, like a new hospital? And it's interesting when I look at the government budget papers, there's little things that are written in there about a scoping study for a new Northside hospital.
Yep.
And so I've picked up on that on many of the budget papers, and there's been no specifics about what that might entail, whether or not it would be primary care or that type of hospital, and could it possibly be based in Gungahlin?
Yep. So the Northside Hospital planning also sits with me, so you'll probably be seeing a lot of me this year as I'm coming out to talk to everyone. So that territory-wide health services plan is the first thing that will start to inform what services need to be on the north side of Canberra. The Canberra Hospital over in Woden is the tertiary hospital. It will always be the main hospital, and in a city the size of Canberra, with our population at the moment, you couldn't support 2 tertiary hospitals. Even if you built one, you wouldn't get the workforce, to run 2 tertiary hospitals. So Northside planning is underway. The government did commit in the last election for construction to start on that in mid-decade. So we're working at the moment to just bed down what those services look like and where might be the best place to build that hospital, whether we redevelop on the Calvary site or whether we look at a greenfield site. So we'll be coming out and doing community consultation on that a bit later in the year too, to get views on the Northside Hospital, where it should be, what services, and all of those things.
I think this is a great initiative, and I think that the key now is going to be communicating it.
Yeah.
I think that where the government let themselves down is doing this for Light Rail. With Light Rail, they never really sold it as that master plan, and this AC2-wide public transport network. And we've now seen Light Rail dubbed as Gungahlin Strand. And that's, I think, where they really let themselves down there. So the key now is really that ongoing communication and consultation.
Yeah.
For me, I actually spent a bit of time in the hospital last week because my mum was in there. I feel really uncomfortable in hospitals.
Yeah.
I think for me, the wayfinding thing is a really big thing. Thankfully, my cleanliness was extremely friendly and helpful. It helped me find mum. And I think the environments that are less sterile, particularly when you want to go and maybe have a coffee or an eat, would be nice as well to reduce the anxiety of people like myself. But I think this is a fantastic initiative. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. And I completely understand on that. The hospital is hard to get around. I know my mother, she's 84 and recently needed to go to an outpatient clinic there. And trying to even explain to her how to get into the car park and then how to get from the car park to the building she needed to be in. And in the end, I was like, I'll just drive you, Mum. So we'd be hoping to improve that through the master plan to be a little bit more, we'd love to have a hospital that's a little bit more intuitive so that, and there's precincts and you know where you're going. But we also know there needs to be some short-term wayfinding work done to just make it easier for people. And it's a long walk too from the car park to the emergency department at the moment too. So they're all things that we have been hearing, and thank you for your feedback, and we'll try, this master plan will address them.
I think that's the end.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you need any more details with the Canberra Hospital Master Plan, the team will be waiting outside to take any more questions and stuff. And they have some pamphlets to give away as well, so feel free to do so. And also we came to know that Leanne Castley, MLA, is watching online. So thanks for joining us, Leanne. So next speaker, we got from PCYC. Are they? Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. So we'll welcome Cheryl O'Donnell. Thank you. I'll put that. Do you have any problems?
Yeah, firstly, I'd like to send an apology from Cheryl, who's our CEO, who couldn't be here this evening. My name's Steve Imrie. I'm the General Manager of PCYC. I've been at PCYC for 10 years now, and I absolutely love what we do and the interaction with the community that we have. Ever since I started at PCYC, there's been murmurs of wanting PCYC to get up to Gungahlin, because we've felt like that's where we've been needed. Our services have been needed, our unique services. Just by show of hands, who's had anything to do with PCYC in the past? Yep. If I said, was it, a boxing program or a wrestling program or anything like that? Is that sort of what people's experience has been? Yep. Yep. So in the past, PCYC has been in Australia and in Canberra for a long time. In Canberra, in particular, from 1957. And back then, it was, designed as a place where young people and families could interact with, in a positive way, with police through things like boxing and wrestling and other Olympic sports. Gymnastics was another big one. We've really developed a long way since those days, and while those things are still important and still in place, we're now a professional case management service, and we have youth workers and social workers working for us, working with families really closely, because we understand that support is a lot more than just throwing a set of boxing gloves at kids and thinking that they'll be better. We know now we have to wrap our support around young people and our families to get better outcomes for them, and focus a lot more on early intervention. So we provide case management to over 100 families every year, and we've got 90 young people on our books that are engaged in our daytime programs. Some of those are more intensive crime diversion programs, and other of those are less intensive early intervention programs. And the biggest part is we've got another 197 on our wait list, waiting to get into PCYC support. So we know that there's a real need for community support that's not being met by PCYC or other community services. And I'm not sure if people understand where the disadvantage is, but Gungahlin certainly comes up on our radar a lot, of being a place where there's significant disadvantage. It's sort of an undertone of Canberra that I'm not sure many people know is there, but there's certainly disadvantage out there that just doesn't get seen. And PCYC are always willing to be there to support these families who are in need. So we're proposing that a PCYC site be in Gungahlin, whether or not that's PCYC owning a patch of land or whatever, we don't really mind, so long as we have a presence up here. We're happy to partner with other organisations or other initiatives that are around, and certainly part of the community consultation that's been spoken about, more indoor sports centres and more other sports facilities and things like that. We see that as a real opportunity to integrate community services with other existing services. So, we're not wasting time with bricks and mortar that don't need to be there, but we're getting the supports into the right places. Canberra PCYC, we currently, every day, our youth workers jump in cars and come up here to Gungahlin, and we pick up kids who are of most disadvantaged, and we take them to our PCYC sites to do intensive programs with those young people. So and our case workers come up here as well. We don't have a physical presence up here, but we all know Tuggeranong was named Nappy Valley back in the day, and that had a PCYC plonked right where it needed to be, where the young people were, where there was growth, where families were needing support, where families were needing a place that they could send their kids to safely. We know that Gungahllin's still growing. It's had a massive boom. 10 years ago when the conversation was there, it was relevant. We still feel like it's relevant to have something in place in Gungahlin to service the needs of the community, to have a safe place for kids to go and do things and get that positive mentoring and hopefully have some better choices made in their lives. Our proposals, we've been speaking with our MLAs and other government members about our ambitions for the area. We know that our formula works and that we can have a significant impact in the community where we are and also through our outreach programs. If any of you like skateboarding, you can go down to the skate park and find a PCYC worker there every Friday night with our barbecue trailer, trying to engage the kids and making sure that they've got workers around them who can offer them support when they need it. So we are here, but we're not here in a physical sense. We'd certainly like to be, and that's a part of the conversation that we're having with community and with MLAs. So that's why we're here tonight, to tell you of our ambitions and I guess hear of any ideas.
I'll open the floor for questions.
So what can we do to help you?
Yeah, I guess keeping PCYC in a part of the conversation around the development that's on hand with those new sporting facilities, with those any opportunities that come up for space. We want to be a part of that conversation and say, yes, we'll stick our hand up and partner with people or collaborate with people to get the services up here. Hey, Dave.
When are you ready to go? When are you ready to take advantage of an opportunity?
Well, we're ready. Always ready, Cheryl and I. Look, we've been in. This has been on the tip of our tongue for 10 years. We've been waiting for a moment that it feels like the moment is now. It feels like there's some significant community, interest in having more community services that will have a significant impact, and we play really well with the other community services that are here and already delivering some really good programs. But we just know that there's a really big need that none of the community services can actually meet with our current resourcing. Terry?
Peter mentioned in his introduction the work that's going on in looking at options in Casey for the community service land that's been set aside there. Maybe that's one you should put your hand up for, and maybe that could be included in some of the assessments as a potential site.
Mm-hmm.
How big, what kind of the land you're looking for?
So the current centre in Erindale is about the size of a basketball court plus another, say, half a court with, gym and an office space and things like that. That's enough for us to run. That place is packed every afternoon. It's probably too small, but it's we utilise it really well with martial arts, boxing, gymnastics in the morning with kids, all things like that. So that would be, I'd say, the minimum. I don't know, Terry, if you've got anything to add to that, but that certainly seems like, for us, a minimum size of, say, 2 basketball courts, roughly.
When's your busy times?
So in the morning we start at 9. Ooh. Ooh.
All right, we'll continue after the break.
I thought they were about to tell us the bar was shutting. Did I press something?
There's nothing playing out. It's just
Music.
question.
Yeah, that's the one if you want to play.
There we go. Not a bad song either. Yes.
The question I was going to ask is about your, how do you get the support that you need in order to, and the funding that you need, obviously part of it is government, but you obviously have private sponsorship?
Yeah, we do have a bit of philanthropic money coming our way that we like to put right back into programs that are going to get outcomes for young people and families. You know, we're not a rich organisation by any sense because we really like to funnel that money back in where it's needed. So we do rely on our stakeholders, our government stakeholders, to fund programs. But there's certainly a lot of community support behind PCYC, and there has been for a long time.
There seems to be an uptick in youth crime.
Yes.
In Gungahlin. It's hard sometimes because how do you define youth crime? There has been an uptick in crime in general, and we've been pushing obviously for an expansion of the police station in order to have more officers address what is a law and order issue. But you're also talking about the preventative side of it as well, so I can 100% sort of agree that it's nice to have an organisation that's not just about sort of catching criminals, it's about steering them away from being criminals in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely our focus. We know that these young people who are coming into the justice system, a lot of them haven't really had any other sort of mentoring, positive mentoring, and we're pleased to see that the criminal age is being raised, but we also know that there has to be some form of significant intervention in their life to get them on the right track of life and have those outcomes change for them. So yes, we love what we do. We know that we have really good impact, and we'd just like to be doing more of it across Canberra.
Does the government pay for the social workers or?
Yeah, so some of our grants pay for caseworkers and social workers to deliver groups, programs and case management. Other programs are funded through small grants that we get, or larger grants to address a particular need, such as youth crime in some areas. And our main stakeholders are the AFP, so we work really closely with them in making sure that we're getting the right kids into the programs and addressing any pockets of need that they might see in the community.
You made reference to a building or some facility. What's the norm? I'm total ignorance. Do you own this sort of thing? Do you rent, or how do you go about having a presence physically in Gungahlin?
Yeah, I guess that's where we're looking. We're open to suggestions, really. We're happy to partner with other sporting facilities. Historically we've done a lot of our youth engagement around sport, and that seems to work. That's a really good model. Not only because kids engage in sports, but because we get lifelong members who volunteer and their discipline, their trade. It might be a martial art, wrestling and things like that, and these are people willing to show up week in, week out to not only teach kids a skill but mentor the kids and keep giving back to the community. And that model, it still works. It's still a really good model. We're seeing really good outcomes from it. So something along those lines would be, would work really well. But we're open to any suggestions.
So what should we do from here? Like, how can we get the ball rolling? Because land goes very quickly around here. It's sold before we even hear about it, and the Casey site would be perfect because it's close to schools, it's close to shopping centre. It would have easy access and lots of parking. So how do we start getting the ball rolling?
I guess talking to the gentleman in the back road is.
I've been told I'll go last. So.
Yeah. Look, it really is about keeping that the conversation rolling about not just wasting the opportunity. Let's really get this opportunity of a new development or a community consultation to have a significant part of it be.
Has anybody from planning from ACT planning actually spoken to you about the potential?
Might hand over that to Terry, who's on our board and part of the planning of PCYC.
This is kind of...
Sorry, do you want to come and speak?
Yeah, do you want to? Stitch up.
Just stand here. Yes, just stand here.
I'll be the microphone for you.
I think this is the start of an exploration of these sorts of facilities for Gungahlin. There is an identified need, and I guess we're just starting that conversation with all the different stakeholders. But I think from what Peter said at the start of this meeting, the Casey site and the exploration that's currently going on for that land and how it could be used to benefit the community would be an ideal place to start. It's a facility that is complementary with lots of other community uses, so it's about having multi-purpose sort of spaces that work best. So that'd be my 2 bobs worth on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Transport for these kids and stuff, you'd have to consider that. Is there, I thought it would be maybe the centre of Gungahlin, the college, or, you know, but I guess that's, you're talking about Monday to Friday. What do you talk, the hours, what do you?
Yeah, so I guess for our early intervention programs and our crime diversion programs, we know that transport's a major hurdle for these kids to get over. You don't know what household they're sort of coming from, environment they're coming from. So we actually go door to door to pick these kids up to make sure they get to programs. That's very significant, intervention. Yes, plonking it somewhere where a kid can walk after school is better than, somewhere out on a fringe, but nonetheless, you've got to work with what you've got, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, and there's and we know there's high call community and things like that out that way that would definitely be accessing our services.
We have a bus.
We do have. We've got a 22-seater bus.
Is that for the whole of Canberra or just for specific regions? Or?
Yeah, we get around all of Canberra. Every day our youth workers are out there picking kids up from right across Canberra.
I think our MLAs will organise a separate bus for Gungahlin for you guys. All right. Thank you very much for coming down. It was good. All right. So the next thing we're going to move on to information about a petition regarding the Arabi Pond recreation area. So there's been a lot of online discussion over this particular area as well. So I'd like to welcome John to come and do a bit of presentation about the petition and what it's about and what we need to do.
I'd prefer to speak without that if I can. Is it necessary?
It's necessary.
What do I do?
You just...
There's an online broadcast.
All right, okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for the opportunity of being here to speak to you. Just to touch on the last speaker, I joined the Police Citizens Club some 75 years ago in Sydney, and I'm still about. So, if you get in there and start working, you can keep your life going. This is a petition that was lodged today at the Assembly, and it's through the efforts of Michael Petterson that this has happened. I've been advocating with the various authorities to enhance some of the facilities here. Particularly, I started off with the Centenary Trail that goes from Hall to Ford. But after I'd spoken to Michael and I'd been round here a fair while, I looked at this decrepit, neglected area, which is Arabi Pond. Now, we live in a retirement village at Casey, so we're very active. We spend a lot of time going around Lake Gungahlin. This facility is one of 4 of water facilities in Canberra, that being the Tuggeranong, Lake Burley-Griffin, Gungahlin, and this place. Now, I don't have to tell you people the explosion that's occurred out here. And this is just a bloody disgrace, to put it mildly. We went and met Michael last week for the first time, although we'd had some communication with him, and he said, well, what about doing a petition? I said, well, that's what I was thinking of, but I've got no idea how to do a petition. I have as much idea about astrophysics as how to get a petition together. My wife and I are, by any standard, quite elderly, but we like to see things that are going on to enhance where we live. And this is the poor relationship in the water facilities that are offered here. Now, one of the things that says in this petition, I'll briefly touch on it, and it says, fix Yerrabee Pond Recreation Area. This went in today, and it's in the Assembly, and it will be on their website either tomorrow or the next day. It says Yerrabee Pond is the only major public recreation area in Gungahlin and likely to remain so for the foreseeable future. Unlike Lake Burley Griffin and Lake Ginninderra, which are well maintained and improved on a continuing basis, Yerrabee Pond has languished. Minister Gentleman, in a letter of the 16th of December 20, mentions the ever-increasing popular Yerrabee Ponds area. Then goes on to say there are no plans to install more toilet facilities at Yerrabee Ponds in the near future. Yerrabee Pond was established in 1999. Since then, there's been explosive growth in the local population. What might have been a reasonable facility 22 years ago is now neglected and inadequate. That's under the section that is the following residents of the ACT draw to the attention of the Assembly. And then we go on to say, your petitioners therefore request, and we call upon the government to first aid and support the establishment of a Friends of Yerrabee Pond Association to highlight the need for upgrading the area. As an aside, my wife and I are friends of numerous organisations in Canberra. We've been here on and off since the 60s, and this is a place we hold dear. Secondly, provide more toilet and hand washing facilities. Now, on that point, there's 2 toilets in the whole area, one of which is often out of order. If you come here on the weekend when there's hundreds of kids, you'll see kids soiling themselves and parents being distressed and they can't get in there. Provide signage, particularly on shared pathways concerning rights of pedestrians and instructions re dogs and their droppings. Now also, on that pathway, which isn't marked in many of the areas on the western side, you've now got these scooters that tear past you. Apart from the cyclists that go past that you don't hear and don't ring bells, which is of course an ongoing problem. Upgrade the Western Children's Playground with the provision of toilet and hand washing facilities. Upgrade the many areas around the pond that are currently overgrown with weeds, bushes, etc. Provision of the above improvements would allow many older users to walk around the pond because of the western toilet. Now, a lot of elderly people can't do the circuit of the course because they need to go to the toilet. And for women, that's particularly a problem. For men, maybe not so. But basically, I see this as something that we could showcase and look at what it is now compared to what it could be in, say, 12 months' time. Now, I heard this afternoon, and I noticed you were talking about things out of the budget, that there was some mention in the budget papers yesterday about $300,000 being provided to provide some sort of upgrades in this Yerrabee area. Now, there is at the present time a contract out for a guy called Enviro Ag from Bungendore to improve the water quality. Now, one of my beefs is, why can't that pond be used for recreation purposes? At present time, dogs can swim in it. That's the end of the section. Nobody else can go in there. You'd be mad to it when you look at it. Now, maybe the 300 grand is going to be used to clean the pond up, but nothing that we know of addresses the problem of the neglectful areas around that place. It's just bloody appalling. Now, as a friend of various entities, particularly say the Arboretum, we've worked up on the Arboretum in the last 10 or 15 years or whatever, and worked physically. Now there's a hell of a lot of people in Canberra with skills who are retired or have time on their hands that would love to become a member of an organisation that could get in and do something meaningful on a regular basis. And that's the thought of forming a Friends of Yarrabee Ponds.
Anyone got any questions or any? Yep.
On your petition, because I totally agree with it, I find that there's not enough lighting, especially if you want to go running or something at night, because I used to run at night, but it's too dark.
Too risky, yeah.
It's too risky now.
Well, look, the thing is, we're geriatrics. We're not in the realm that you guys are. I spoke to Peter, your president in Perth, and he suggested I come here and speak to you guys, right? I said, look, we know 4/5 or 5/8 of sweet Fanny Adam as to get some of these things off the ground. He said, leave it to us. This is what we have the expertise to do. Now, you wouldn't have to be Einstein to work out that I'd reckon 90% of the people around this town would say that this is not up to scratch and not good enough for this explosive area. The thing was built in 1999. It's 22 bloody years ago. It's just a joke when you walk around there. And that children's playground on the western side, I went there back in November, December. The grass was up this high. Heaven knows if there weren't snakes around there. And a lot of women are saying they're not going to go there to take their kids because there's no toilet facilities, and kids and toilets is synonymous. So I just hope that you guys, who I knew of, did not know of your existence until earlier this week, might back us up on this and start the ball rolling in the way whichever you guys want to do. I don't need to have any part of it in sense rather than just bring it to the attention, and we'll work our backsides off to assist you, but we don't have the knowledge or wherewithal to get it out to the public.
I've got to say something, because as I said, for the last 5 years I've been pushing for lights for Yarrabee Ponds, for bins because of the rubbish that's around it. I've been to the Clean Up Australia where we actually went around and pulled all of the trolleys out of the ponds and the rubbish. And one of the questions I put to the current government MLAs who are actually there for the photo op was, why can't we prevent this by putting some bins around the ponds? And they said, we don't have money for bins, and we don't have money for lights. But then they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on exercise equipment that they installed around the ponds. And sometimes one of the issues that I have is that there has been incidents of lewd acts that have been sort of committed against young females that were walking around the ponds. That's happened before, and that was one of the reasons why I pushed really hard to have lighting installed. And unfortunately, no matter who I've spoken to, I haven't been able to get that funding. But I spoke to Mick Gilliland, particularly when he was announcing that he was upgrading the Tuggeranong lakes, and he was spending significant money in his re-election campaign in order to have hundreds of thousands of taxpayers' money spent on upgrading, which I'm not against. And that's what I wanted to say to you. It's fine for you to do that, but I wanted you to sort of look at Yarrabee Ponds because we've got some issues here as well. So I want to make sure that the money is spent evenly. And it is what you say about the fact that federal funding was provided to the ACT for water quality works. And the interesting thing about Yarrabee Ponds is it is supposed to be about water quality. That's the idea of it. And yet no funding that I know of was spent there. And we also have issues with the blue-green algae that killed off a whole bunch of fish not that long ago, and nobody really could explain to me whether or not these ponds were being tested regularly or what the quality of the water actually was. So I'm 100% with you, and sign me up for any Friends of Yarrabee that comes about because of this. But thanks for coming in and talking about it.
Well, just to finish off on across the spread of the 5 members that are here. We've got an appointment to spend some time with Andrew on Friday to discuss some of these matters, right? I'm intending to contact the what's her name, Leanne, the Liberal girl. Now, this is something we can all engage in and our kids can engage in. And one of the things when you get a friends group together, they are permanent and they'll go and work and do things that governments really just don't have the money to do. But it's the squeaky wheel that gets oiled, and I'd like to see a lot of attention brought to the deficiencies that are in this explosive area of Canberra.
Okay, I'll take one question from Kevin and then
Yep.
more.
So your petition, can we go and sign it?
Yeah.
Right, there's two types of petitions, they tell me. This is an e-petition, which is on the internet. It'll be on the site of the Assembly.
It's on Facebook of GCC as well. Yeah.
Right, and also you can have a physical one. I would prefer, I would like to see a physical one. We'd go around and put them in shops and other places and get people on board, the kids at school, you name it. All right?
Excellent. All right.
Thank you very much, John, for you coming down and showing this. It's interesting, right? We don't need to actually do this petition. It should be part of the authorities to do it. And I think the MLAs are watching, so they will do the needed. And in terms of funding, I know we have money to paint our roads and stuff, so definitely there should be money for the community use, that which is really especially for, it will be good for the families and for kids as well. All right, our next speaker is Sandra. She'll be talking about the Gungahlin Community Market, which will be running very soon. Over to Sandra.
Thank you. I'm president of the Rotary Club of Gungahlin. We've been going in Gungahlin for over 10 years. Slowly, our members are building up, but we haven't got anything that's regular in Gungahlin. So about a year and a half ago, we tried to start a market, but it wasn't. Didn't have enough foot traffic. It just wasn't the right place. But and we tried to see if we could get it in the centre of Gungahlin as well, but there's more traffic than it should be. There was more risk assessment with risk problems with pedestrian and also for the movement of the stallholders. But we now have a car park we've got approval, which is the car park just opposite here, which is on Hinder Street. So it's behind Access Canberra, and we have permission there to use that on the second Sunday in the month. So it's once a month, because we just need to pull the community together. So we want to make it a quality store, not like Trash and Treasure, but so we've got it starting on Sunday. So if you want to take a brochure, please do support it. We want to make it regular. We need it in Gungahlin, and we just want to be able to use it, get the community together. And yes, we'll have a barbecue there, but let's make it we just want support for it. You'll see should see the street signs up, so they'll go up on the Sunday beforehand and they'll come down straight after. So we don't want to keep signs up for very long, but that's what we want to do, and we want to give back to the community. So we're going to have a wheel, like a raffle. Well, it's not a raffle, but it's a chocolate wheel that we'll have on this time. We've got lots of toys and stuff, which are new toys we've been given. And we're going to make the fundraise, which will go to the Gungahlin College for the Breakfast Club. We support the Breakfast Club for the students, so that this time it's going for that. But thank you very much for your support for that.
Thank you, Sandra. That's about the Gungahlin market that's going to happen soon. And last but not least, I would like to welcome Andrew Braddock, newly elected MLA, and he also used to be part of the GCC, so it's good to see him on the other side of the wall now. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Braddock. I'll put it on the collars and there and then hold it this way.
No worries. So now I get to learn to be on the receiving end of all the questions and or the firing line, which is totally okay. That's what I signed up for. So going through just some of the questions that got raised through tonight, and then I'll be happy to answer any more questions you might be happy to fling at me. Also, I'll be sticking around after the event as well, so happy to discuss all things Gungahlin.
And sorry, before you give the answers to the question, do you want to give us an update on what you're working on now?
Sure. And literally today was a very busy day in the Assembly in terms of Gungahlin, because there was quite intense debate in terms of the future of the Gungahlin Town Centre, those empty paddocks that you see in Gungahlin Town Centre East. We've seen mixed-use developments, which usually take the form of a single level of retail offerings, then topped by numerous levels of apartments, has been the universal offering that we've been seeing, and that's not something that we want to see going forward. We need to see a proper employment base. And then it becomes a question of what and how can we generate that employment. The large federal department being plonked in the middle of the town centre, a la what we saw in Woden, Belconnen and Tuggeranong, doesn't seem to be happening under the current or even recent federal governments. So then we need to be looking at being more innovative about that. So it's a question of how can we encourage that? I'm actually going to be starting a process of getting the ideas from the community as to what we can do. Do we put like an aged care home facility, but it might be vertical? Do we have a hospital, for example? Do we need to look at a technology hub to take advantage of Gungahlin's NBN connections? These are the sorts of things we need to do to encourage more employment and less of those mixed-use developments that we're seeing popping up all over the Gungahlin Town Centre, which are robbing valuable space that we could be utilised to make sure that people actually stay in the town centre and don't have to commute across the city. And that's going to be my primary focus for 2020. DV 364, which Peter mentioned earlier, is part of my ongoing battle within the government in terms of the previous incarnation was very much focused on removing that requirement for employment, enabling the land to be sold to developers to be able to put the mixed-use developments up there. I've been manoeuvring in terms of trying to stop that reappearing in that current form. You can watch and judge me as to whether I've been successful or not as we go through the machinations of power on that. So I'd say that's, as I said, very topical in terms of Gungahlin in the Assembly today. I also had the opportunity to ask the question in terms of PCYC and the large community centre that's proposed for Gungahlin. The Chief Minister, Andrew Barr, is responsible for that project. He said today in terms of he'll be encouraging community groups to be involved in part of the process of submitting their requirements into that. The exact details he took on notice, so I'll have to get back to you on that one. Because there's definitely, my discussions with PCYC, there is a need for youth services here in the Gungahlin district. It's without a question. We've got 81,000 people here in Gungahlin. It's going to be going past 90,000 probably very shortly. We need the services here. We've fallen behind in terms of infrastructure and services being provided. And also I'm trying to find more detail in terms of the PCYC getting involved as part of that, the community and sports and recreation study that's currently going on. I definitely take your passion in terms of Casey as a potential location for that. My personal preference is I think the town centre might be a more natural, attractive alternative, but I'm not going to prejudge any particular outcome in terms of that. It's available, yes. We need to make it happen. And so I'm currently agitating to try and get that, the two sides of government to link up and sort of say, okay, we're looking at the sports facilities. A natural adjunct of that is having these youth-focused services working in the same facility to be able to do that. In terms of Yerriby Pond, I was looking so hard through the budget on my iPhone to try to find the details of that $300,000. I don't actually have the answer to this point, but we are meeting on Friday, John. I'll have the answers then as to what exactly that 300K is for. The Greens campaigned quite heavily in terms of revitalising the Yerriby Pond area, and for us that included stuff like lighting to help with the people's safety. There has been an issue in the past in terms of Yerriby Pond, also increasing the number of seating, the facilities like toilets and playgrounds and that sort of thing. I regard 300 grand as very much just the tip of the iceberg, which got through in the immediate budget. That is not enough to provide the level of amenity that we would expect from that pond. Kevin, going back to your question in terms of your pre-DA consultation, aren't you? Yeah, in terms of a proposal comes through pre-DA consultation. Firstly, the system is broken. I'll say that. There's a reason why they're doing the planning review, and hence why they're actually looking to how we can best get that system to work better for people bringing forward the proposals, the community having their say as part of the process, providing more certainty for everyone involved in the process. And it's interesting how someone raised the golf course from Nichols as an example where they didn't provide that much detail beyond, hey, we're looking to develop the land. And they did get a lot of feedback saying, oh, we want to see a bit more about what you're thinking. Whereas now you've got a case of another proposal coming forward where it's a bit like, it's too advanced, we would like to have our say a bit earlier in the process. So I would encourage everyone to have their say as part of that process. I also encourage everyone to provide feedback into the review of the planning system, because as I said, it's not working. We need to make that better for everyone. And I'll be encouraging that from all. I think I've probably talked enough just at this point. Happy to throw it out to any questions, or if there's Henley, if there's anything I've missed in terms of trying to remember all the questions, please let me know.
Yeah. I think you've covered most of them. So the one thing, Andrew, with the pond, we could put a lot of solar lights. I think the ACT government recently did the solar lights at the bus stops and the traditional bus stops, I would say.
Yep.
So probably they can get some of the, I think it's based on the sponsorship based, I think, so they can get the local business to come and do it. They get some kind of advertisement or some kind of thing can be worked out.
Yep.
So if you could, and then with the thing we can attract many small business to see whether they have any potential to be part of that project. So it could be supporting a small business, also doing something for the community as well. So.
Yep, that was actually a really good initiative from the Mitchell Traders, and they partnered with a local solar company as well, Solar for Life. I think they've done it on 4 of the traditional bus shelters in Mitchell. They look fantastic. I love that picture. And part of that was because for the employees, they wanted to make them feel safe when they were using public transport at night. The thing I really love about it, it's actually cheaper to install that sort of solar panel and light setup than to actually dig a trench and try to run conduit through and provide electricity to the bus stop. So I regard that as a completely successful trial, and we now need to look at how we can roll that further across Canberra.
Yeah. Any other questions for Andrew?
There's a question
on Facebook.
What is the status of the community centre?
Sorry, just checking in terms of what I can. It is a commitment that Andrew Barr, the Chief Minister, said today. It would be achieved this term. He took on notice in terms of when it would actually commence. I would suggest probably the next budget, which is due to be delivered in August, will have an announcement in this space. It's definitely a commitment that both Liberals, or all of Liberals, Labor and Greens all took this commitment to the electorate. We're all keen to see it happen. And so hence, it will happen, but we need to make sure it's actually connected up with those other services for the community, the multiple community groups, so we can utilise it to its best effect.
Well, there's mine, and it's about the ponds. The investment that I would like to see in the ponds is as much for the wildlife that exists there currently as it is for the people. I mean, one of the things that I see when I walk around the ponds all the time is that the concept of making people put the dog waste in a bag actually makes the situation worse, because you just have a whole bunch of bags that end up in the water. And fishing line, I often see the fishing line obviously is a recreational area that is stocked with fish, but I often see that is caught up. And one of the reasons why it came in wasn't just the safety aspects, it was because I've seen birds with rubbish wrapped around their necks and things like that, and I sort of think it's amazing that in this government that has such a strong Greens following, that there hasn't been this attention to the ponds in the past, and so hopefully going forward we can change it.
Well, I suppose all I can say is yes, that's definitely my focus as well. Is this is such a valuable community asset. We need to demonstrate that by taking care of it and also invest in it so it becomes more widely used at all hours of the day by those who are vulnerable or feel concerned about their safety. People who might be mobility impaired and need more park benches just to sit and enjoy the view. It's a great asset.
There's a lot of noxious weeds around there as well. I've seen the weeds that are there and they keep growing, and one of the things is that if it's not addressed soon, it's just going to be such a difficult problem.
Yep.
Cool. All Thanks,
right.
Andrew.
As I mentioned, I'll be hanging around afterwards. Happy to chat all things Gungahlin.
That's Andrew, MLA for Araby. Thanks, Andrew. And thank you, everyone. Special thank to our guests today, and thank you for the presentation. And for the people who are watching in Facebook, if you want more details, those presentations will be available shortly on our website as well. So thanks, everyone. Stay safe, stay blessed. Thank you.